Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our fireside chats. We're having a visit with the authors from the book, The Butterfly Effect, Inspirational Women Impacting the World. And today we are talking with Valerie Fox about her exciting work that she's doing and the chapter that she's brought in. And I'm just going to quickly go over to her LinkedIn here, where her title is Chief Innovation Consultant at the Pivotal Point, and her mission is to enable thriving entrepreneurial communities locally, nationally, and internationally based on the triple win practice of partnership, collaboration, and iteration. And I know Val's also done a lot of different projects and has been involved in so many different things, both again, locally, nationally, and internationally. So we'll definitely love to hear more about that. But I'll first kind of get started with your work on the chapter, kind of what brought you here in the first place, what was your inspiration to be involved in this book, and maybe just a bit about your chapter and what you're going to share with us in the book.
Well, thanks so much for having me. This is pretty exciting for me. It all started, actually, as far as this book is concerned, with meeting Olu. And she and I were on a panel together. And of course, I just fell in love with her. I thought what she was doing was amazing. And she started to tell me about this idea she had for an anthology and the various women that she wanted to bring on board to talk about what they were doing to impact the world. And when she invited me to do the same, I'll say I was a little surprised and a little delighted at the same time because, as I tell you my story, I have an impact on the world, and I suppose it's social, but it's more on the tech side. And so I wasn't sure whether that would be of interest, but she said it was. And so I was very flattered that she asked me.
Very good. So in your chapter, what angle does your story take in what you're bringing to us?
Well, I actually tell my life story in a sense, as far as my career is concerned. I'll just make a note that why I felt like it's a good story to be told. It's also about champions you have in your life. You meet many people in your life. And a lot of times those people actually see something in you that you might not see. And then they put you in a situation and you just soar. And that's kind of what happened to me. But I'll tell you that my whole career started with my love of science fiction. And I was a graphic designer, and that's how my career started, and an illustrator. And I had my own company of graphic design. I went back to school in the 80s because all of a sudden tech started to really show its worth, to show its power. And two things happened in the 80s. And number one was Star Trek Next Generation. Gene Roddenberry had this ideal of a utopia of the future, of where people really lived to learn and to discover new people, discover new lands, discover new ways of doing things. And basic needs were taken care of. And this was a utopian world that he thought we could all strive for. I was totally sold with that. But the other
Sounds
thing,
great.
amazing, right? So I was totally sold with that. And then the other thing that happened was Star Wars. Now, Star Wars is a story, and it's a cool story, but and that kind of science fiction is okay. But it was more the technological advances to have films with 3D and other tech that enabled people to live in the future that Gene Roddenberry imagined, because his future was based on a lot of tech as well as humanity. And so we needed both. That's why I went back to school for computer graphics in the 80s. I had my own graphic design business now that was all about tech. And I worked with developers on all kinds of digital training, very primitive. But then IBM hired me they were one of my clients. They hired me to be part of their enterprise software team, which was interdisciplinary, really all kinds of new stuff that they were trying. And again, champions saw something in me. I was pretty different. I was not a typical IBMer. And I talk about that in my chapter. But they saw something in me, and I brought this innovative way of approaching user interface design. And because of that, I had an incredible career where I was creative director of Sydney Olympics and all kinds of amazing things like that. I have multiple patents. And you'll read about that as well. And then eventually I became the national practice lead for user experience for IBM. Like that was pretty
Wow.
good. It was amazing. And after that, I was another person saw something in me, and he hired me to be to jump ship to a university where I helped build a world famous business incubator based, so a tech incubator. And from there, again, it's just one thing after another, people seeing things in me. And so now I'm having impact, I think, on others where I'm helping them build their worlds, build their careers. I'm a coach, and I coach the development of other incubators and accelerators around the world. But I also coach a lot of women, actually, women entrepreneurs who are making a difference, a lot of social entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs who are in all different kinds of industries, tech, and that kind of stuff. I get to meet amazing people. I mean, I'm 69 years old and I love what I do. So I'm pretty fortunate.
Yeah, that sounds like you had an amazing career of really following your passions and dreams. But like you say, though, you've had those people that have stepped into your life at the right moment and saw something in you that you hadn't even imagined yet.
Well, that's the beauty of it. So how can you, and that's where I'm at now, is really helping others to do what they imagine, to achieve what they imagine, help them to see in themselves what others saw in me as I was growing my career. It's fascinating and it's wonderful.
I think part of that too is that you need to have that open mind, have those open eyes to even allow yourself to step into what somebody else is seeing or imagining for you. So that's
I
like
love that you're
neat.
saying that. Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting thing too, to come behind somebody else's eyes to see what they're seeing reflected back to them. Yeah, that's super cool.
And I think one of the things as well that I think this book will be very good at is kind of presenting an image to women of what is possible. What's possible for themselves, what's possible for their kids, what's possible for their communities, because that's another big part that I see is that we don't often see ourselves in something until we can actually see it.
Yes, I so agree with you. I think it's really good to have role models. Hearing stories from other women is just mind blowing about the accomplishments that other people have done, but also hearing how tough it was. I think it's important for us also.
Yes.
It's not so easy because we all go through stuff, and it's nice to see. Not nice. It's not nice, but it is important to see that other people go through the same or other types of trials and tribulations to help them get where they want to go. And the key of all of this stuff is resilience, and how women, especially, I think, are quite resilient, and how they are innovative and creative and come up with all kinds of ways to help them build the types of things that they want to.
Yes, and I'm especially passionate about midlife women. And helping us recognize that it's not too late to start something different. It's not too late to learn something new or to, become part of another community that you hadn't been involved in before. And even like you were speaking of there too, with you were a graphic designer, and then you just thought, oh, well, computers seem like a great way to do this. And you were able to make that transition from the old way into the new way and embracing tech as a whole other way of doing things. And I mean, now you must see all sorts of new opportunities as well with all the different applications of technology and imaging and design of all sorts.
You are so right. There's so many incredible things going on right now. Of course, we're hearing tales of the metaverse and the omniverse, and how we have hybrid ways of working. We're doing it right now. We're on Zoom right now, but we also meet in person. What is that doing to how we learn and how we interact with one another? So to be on this crazy wave that we're on, where technology is becoming so much a part of our lives, it's another reason why we need to connect like this. It's another reason why we need a book like this, because what it does is it helps us to see through multiple facets, different people's eyes, different people's experiences, so that we can, again, be resilient, not just cope, but thrive in this new world, in the new worlds that we're creating.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I'd love to thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to reading your chapter. And for everybody watching, if you're watching this before March 8th, look for our launch postings about the book coming out. There will be some virtual events coming up. There will be some in person, and some details will follow. I think Toronto is one of the locations for the in-person events that will be coming up. And yeah, we're just really excited to get this book out to the world. It really is a global collection of women that are in this book and sharing their stories. And that's one of the things I love too, about hearing just all these different stories of women all over the world and what they're going through and how they're supporting each other. And so it's going to be exciting to actually get the book in our hands. So thank you very much, Val, for jumping on here with us, and we will definitely be having more upcoming things to remind people and get people pre-ordering, get the book when it gets on Amazon, help us to hit that international best-selling status. It'll be exciting for all of us. So we'll say goodbye to the listeners back home. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Kathy. Thank you.